Howdy, YouTubers. This is Steven, and I'm back with another news article. All right, so once again, I was searching around the internet and I ran across this article, and it is titled Spanish in the 21st Century. And as usual, I will read the article and give my thoughts and opinions as I go. All right, so here I go. The use of the Spanish language has been growing steadily since the 16th century, but has suddenly accelerated over the last century. In the late 19th century, there were some 60 million Spanish speakers, and now there are nearly 6 million, making Spanish the world's fourth most spoken language after Chinese, English, and Hindi. And this growth looks set to continue in the 21st century. All right, so Spanish is a language that's growing and it's getting bigger and bigger, which is good. It's showing that, you know, the language is worth learning, and I guess that would be a selling point to people to make them want to learn the language. As well, for me personally, like I invested part of my education in learning Spanish. I have a bachelor's degree in Spanish language and literature, so it's like, hey, I picked a good language to learn. It seems like people are using it. Let's see. Next, taking into account only the countries where Spanish is an official language, Spanish speakers represent about 6% of the world's population, where English speakers represent 8.9. More significantly, Spanish is spoken by 94% of the population of the countries where it is an official language, much higher than English, 27%. Okay. All right. So about 6% of the world speaks Spanish, and seems like about 8.9% of the world speaks English. Um, and, you know, I guess that is showing that I kind of thought it would be a bit more. It seems like those two languages, English and Spanish, are kind of widespread. But hey, you learn something new every day. All right, next. In its annual report, Español en el Mundo, Spain's Instituto Cervantes forecasts that by 2050 there will be around 750 million Spanish speakers in only those countries where it's an official language. This does not include speakers in the United States, which is predicted to have the biggest Spanish speaking population of any country by 2050. Yeah, from what I heard, the U.S. Spanish-speaking population is very large. It's larger than many countries where Spanish is officially spoken. And so you're going to have. It seems like you're going to have growth in Spanish speakers from the countries where it's an official language, as well as the United States too. So yeah, it seems like Spanish is growing, and that's good. That's good. But again, that might be a little scary to some people, though. Some people may be like, "Hey, where do I fit in? I don't speak Spanish." But I believe that there'll be a place for both English and Spanish speakers in the United States. At the very least, English speakers. But bilingualism is not really anything new in the world in general, but it may be new to the United States because the United States is kind of like, hey, English only. There's like a English only movement, and like a lot of states have participated in the English only movement, even though those states have like large or significant amounts of like Spanish speakers, as well as other language speakers too. All right, next. Only a couple of months ago, the director of the Rio Academia Español, RAE, Dario Ben. Let me see if I can pronounce this guy's name right. Ben Arbi. Villanueva predicted a bright future for Spanish in the United States, thanks to the growing influence of its Hispanic population. Speaking in Puerto Rico at the launch of RAE's latest dictionary, um, Dario commented on the spectacular growth of Spanish in the United States over the past 30 years. In his opinion, bilingualism is a positive development of modern post-colonial society, and the growth of Spanish is due to the collapse of its empire. Hmm, that's strange. Quote unquote, independence gave Spanish its strength, not colonialism, he claimed, noting that during the colonial era, only 20% of Americans spoke Spanish. Hmm, I didn't think of it that way, but I will say that colonialism did play a part in it. It played a significant part in it, though, because without colonialism, the Spanish language wouldn't be spread to where is where it's at now. You know, I mean, look at say a language like Swedish. It's pretty much confined to Sweden. That's because Swedish people didn't really do colonialism. So let's not discount colonialism totally. You know. All right, next. Spanish is the official language of some 20 countries around the world and one of the three tongues generally considered as official working languages by a multitude of international organizations. That is true. See, within its diversity, today's Spanish is probably the most homogeneous of all the major international languages, which means it runs little risk of fragmentation. According to RAE, 95% of the 3,000 most used words in each country where Spanish is spoken are common to all of those countries. It is also a geographically compact language since most of its speakers are concentrated in the Americas. Quote unquote, obviously, there are tonal, accent, and lexical differences, but communication between Spanish speakers from different countries is perfect, remarked Dario. All right. So yeah, this like Spanish is a widespread language, and sometimes when the language becomes very widespread, it sort of changes. Like Portuguese from Brazil and Portuguese from Portugal they're different. Like there's some significant differences between the two. I can't really go into the details of it because I'm not that familiar with it, but there are some significant differences. Whereas Spanish in Spain versus Spanish in Mexico versus Spanish in Puerto Rico versus Spanish in Argentina, like there are differences, mainly vocabulary differences. But it's still, there's still like a unity and a similarity that creates a unity within the language. Let's see. Next, one of the keys to its success is that Spanish has been molded by travelers, immigrants, and migrants. From Latin and the Moors' legacy of Arabic to the adoption of indigenous American words and the latest Spanglish adaptations. So people have kind of been able to put their own mark on Spanish, like the indigenous folk, the African people, the Latinos in the United States by mixing English and Spanish together, as well as Arabic people put their mark on the Spanish language, and Latin definitely put his mark on the Spanish language. So I think they attribute that to part of the reason that Spanish is so successful is because it's been able to sort of mold itself to the people who use it, versus like some languages, like maybe say Latin, where it's like you had to do it this way or else it's wrong. Even though there is some discussion about, kind of like the hierarchy of accents within um, the Spanish speaking community. You know, like Spain would be up here while the Caribbean would be all the way at the bottom, you know. But that's another story for another day. All right. Let's see. The development of Latin America, where out of every 10 Spanish speakers live, is crucial to the language's success. The consolidation of democracy, development of economy, and the opening of markets in the Americas are essential to the spread of Spanish throughout the world, especially in the information society. For this reason, the Instituto Cervantes is working closely with all Spanish-speaking countries. All right, so I was saying, okay, I'm glad that they are putting forth some effort here, Spain's Instituto Cervantes, in sort of like promoting the language. Because I noticed something when it comes to French, like French, they promote their language, even though like French isn't what it used to be, but they still promoting that language. And I'm thinking, okay, Spanish already has a good like foundation and a lot going for it already, but put promotion with that, and it would even it would bring the language to an even better place than it is now. All right. Next, if Spanish is to be consolidated as a global language, it needs to develop its online presence and expand its cultural impact overseas. Languages stake their future in the technological and informational sectors. After English, Spanish is the language with the largest number of daily news services on the internet, and these services generate enormous online interaction between Spanish speakers of all nationalities. So here they're saying that in order for Spanish to become a global language, a language that everyone around the world wants to use, it has to become a part of technology and information science and be a language that is accessible, you know, by, as they pointed out, daily news services on the internet in Spanish. That's one example. Next, using its virtual center, the Instituto Cervantes plan is to update Spanish in the information age with funding from Telefónica, Spain's largest telecommunications company, by offering more resources and content in Spanish. Cervantes has 4 essential aims, which are to stimulate the promotion of the Spanish language, to serve as a vital platform for Spain's cultural industries, to act as a world model for training of teachers of Spanish as a second language, and to fill the internet with Spanish language content. All right, so it seems like they have their mission, their, mission objectives in order, which is good. It's good. Let's see. Next, the vitality and creativity of Spain and Latin America, or Spain and Latin American, are making them. I think it's supposed to be Latin America. My bad. They spell Latin American for some reason. Let me read that over. The vitality and creativity of Spain and Latin America are making the language a major economic resource for the publishing, film, and music industries. It's a language of the future, a worldwide language with an extraordinary rich culture that is therefore both useful and necessary for the world in the 21st century. And this article was published in Language Magazine, and I believe Daniel Ward wrote this article. All right. So there you have it. There you have it. And I think that, yeah, there is a place in the 21st century for Spanish, definitely. You know, I think that Spanish, like, if the economies in Latin America kind of like improve, then Spanish will improve. And also, when Spanish use in the United States increase, Spanish will also improve. And people were like, hey, be thinking, hey, I think I need to learn Spanish because, there's so many different booming Spanish economies and they're having such an influence on the global economy. It'll be wise for me to learn the language. you know. So like Spain also, it needs to up its ante and start contributing more to the use of Spanish as well, and also find a way to rebound from this global recession that we're in. Um, but overall, it's an interesting article. It's a short article and straight to the point, and I think that you know you're going to be seeing more Spanish in the 21st century. You know, I mean, even where I live, 10 years ago, from say 10 or 15 years ago, there wasn't as many Spanish, media resources available. I remember distinctly when like this channel that I used to watch all of a sudden turned into the Spanish channel, which later I found out was Univision. I was like, what's this? And I wound up, you know, a little bit after that, learning more about Spanish via school, the school system, and introduce myself to a different culture and different language. And from there, like the Spanish speaking media has, in my area at least, has really improved. Well, I won't say improved. That's not the word I'm looking for. I don't think there was something to improve upon, but it's grown. I think that it's grown since the last time. Like, because now, like, I can turn on my radio and listen to at least one Spanish speaking radio station. There might be more, but I know I can at least listen to one. As well, I can turn on my television and look at Spanish speaking TV shows. And, there's many choices for Spanish speaking, channels, definitely Univision, but also Unimas, which used to be Telefutura, and also now you have Mundo Fox, and plus there's some other channels too, like Estrella Television, I think that's a channel, and LA TV, that's another channel, and also you have news media outlets in Spanish as well, like CNN Espanol, then you have like I think Fox News has a news, like an online news media in Spanish. A lot of people do. So it's really growing, it's growing, and some people say that the Spanish news media is doing better than the English speaking news media in the United States. That's what I heard. But I've gone on for long enough. Feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Your feedback and support are extremely appreciated and extremely valued. Until the next news article analysis, adios and goodbye for now.